Let's get down to it, and let's talk about – we're going to go kind of rapid fire on these injuries, except we're going to spend maybe a little bit more time on the first one, which is James White. Schefter reported James White. We got a hip injury. He is expected to miss the remainder of the 2021 season. This is a guy who is actually doing pretty well. I mean, he was top 15 running back, catching passes out of the backfield just like we thought he would. And then, one thing, bam, carted off. He's done.
Yeah, painful injury for James White. 18.5% target share before going down was behind only Kamara and Christian McCaffrey. The guy was a lights out pass catcher, as you were saying. Very high floor, decent ceiling because he was finding the end zone too. I had him on all my teams. This one definitely is a stiff kick right into the groin. Do not appreciate it at all.
Right into the groin.
Oh, it's awful. But someone's going to have to fill that void. And I don't think it's going to be an immediate, running back steps in and sees 18% of the target share like James White, because he was just so savvy and dependable and a great pass protector too. I don't think we can just slot someone in for that, but it still is a staple of this offense. My guess, it's going to come down to three guys: J.J. Taylor, Brandon Bolden, or Rhamondre Stevenson, because the team has outright come and said, we don't trust Damian Harris in pass protection. He's not going to – that might be the ideal fantasy situation. He just becomes a three-down monster. He can catch. But the fact that he's been giving up a hurry on 25% of his pass protection attempts, that's bottom in the league. So they don't trust him, and they shouldn't trust him. So now it becomes, all right, who else could fill this void? My guess would be J.J. Taylor. He seems like the most natural, shifty, Dion Lewis-y type of guy. He was a preseason monster. Saw 2 targets in his 10 snaps this week. So maybe he's the guy. Rhamondre Stevenson, though, he's not the James White body by any means. A big boy, huge. But he can pass protect. He can catch the ball. I wouldn't be shocked to see him take that role and then ultimately maybe even take some carries away from Harris and maybe even just take a 3-down role at the end of it. So if I'm going for the sheer ceiling, I think Rhamondre Stevenson is the highest upside guy. I think J.J. Taylor might be the most natural fit and probably the best bet to get you something. But if you want just pure production, pure upside rather, I would be going for him. And most likely, probably just going to put in Brandon Bolden. He led the team in snaps last week. He is by far their best pass protector. If they're just trying to keep the rookie safe, he will be the guy. But let's see how they play it against the Bucs. You can't really play it safe against Tampa and have any expectation to win the game. They might just fold away and give it to Brandon Bolden. But it's worth stashing both of those guys. I actually stashed both of them wherever I could to see how this plays out, that being Rhamondre Stevenson and J.J. Taylor. Even if it ends up being Brandon Bolden, I don't want to touch it. There's going to be no upside there. But I would be stashing these guys for sure because of how invaluable that pass-catching role is in this offense.
Yeah, I went from feeling really, really good about myself fantasy-wise to still kind of smug and good and then terrible because the McCaffrey injury left me feeling bad. But then I was like, I got James White stashed on my bench. He's going to be fine for 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not going to miss out on much. And then he was carted off the field 5 minutes later. And then all of a sudden, then I got the sweats.
The fantasy gods they sniffed out your smugness and were like, let's
hubris. It was hubris. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Serious hubris there. Exactly.
Right. All right. Let's keep rolling. Mm-hmm. We going back and forth? Or you want me to just hit the headlines?
Let's do it. T. Higgins' shoulder is out for week 4, already announced ahead of time, which is kind of nice. You don't have to sweat it out till game time. Big upgrade for Jamar Chase, who had 21 points in his first game without T last week. And also Tyler Boyd led the way with 13 targets. Both of them must starts against this awful Jags defense.
Dalvin Cook limited in Wednesday's practice. He did not play last week. It does put him on track to return against the Browns, even though he missed the Seattle game. Remember, in his absence, Alexander Mattison, he had 34 carries and targets in Cook's absence. He is one of the most valuable backups, handcuffs in fantasy, even though last year he was terrible when he got the chance. But, of course, if Cook's absent, Madison has no value at all. Yeah, if he's not absent, if he's active.
Exactly. If he's active, useless. But if he's out, top 12 running back, in my opinion, for Dalvin Cook. For Alexander Mattison. So keep tracking that. But he is on track to play. Darrell Henderson did participate in practice. Early participation typically means they're going to play. And I'll talk about him more in higher, lower Hail Mary. But let's just say I would get him right back into lineups if you have Darrell Henderson, assuming he is out there.
All right, we got a pair of hamstring issues with a pair of pretty high-profile receivers on the Titans. Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, both didn't practice on Wednesday. If they end up not playing, it's all of a sudden kind of a tough look for the Tennessee wideout situation. They were already kind of shallow after those 2 guys. And here's the 3 guys that you've got written down that they might be rolling out. They could roll out a 3-wide set of Nick Westbrook, Ikeni, Josh Reynolds and Chester Rogers.
Ooh.
Just kind of rolls off your tongue, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. What a beautiful cast of weapons there. Holy crap. Westbrook.
Any of those guys you running out to get?
No, none of them.
Okay.
Westbrook did score, as did Chester Rogers. Even still, I don't want anything to do with them. It's a low volume pass attack. I think all this means is Henry's seeing 35 carries. He's going to run the ball until he pukes, and he's not going to puke because he's a goddamn tank.
Yeah.
Next up, Eli Mitchell returned to a limited practice with Trey Sermon kind of shitting himself. Wouldn't be shocked to see Eli Mitchell actually take back over that backfield in the most beautiful of matchups. Seattle giving up the most points to running backs. We just saw what Alex Madison did to them. Any running back can do that to them. It could be Eli Mitchell as early as this week.
Sticking with the 49ers, George Kittle not practicing Wednesday. Also, he's got a calf injury. It's described as quote unquote soreness. But the coach does expect him to play week 4 against the Seahawks. We'll see if he's just blowing smoke or if he really does. If he does play, obviously he's a tight end 1.
Oh, 100%. My tight end 3 behind only Waller and Kittle, as it really is almost every week. Chiefs.
Waller and Kelsey, you mean?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Waller, Kelsey, exactly. My bad. Andy Reid saying it's probably not going to be this week for Josh Gordon. That makes sense. He's got to get into game shape. I wonder what week it's going to be. Reid did say it's going to take a while. Are you going to take any flyers on this guy now? Are you
I was going to ask you the same question.
Oh, God.
I mean, how many times can we be made to look like dipshits before we just say, you know what? I'm not interested. And guess what, Wolf? I'm there. I'm not interested. I'm not interested
100%.
at all.
I'll be looking like a dipshit one more time at least. You give me Chiefs, you give me Mahomes. If there's ever going to be a resurrection, I feel like I said that about him.
Here's the trifecta that you need for that: the Chiefs, Mahomes, and some picture of him running where like his muscles are like pulsating and flexed, and then you're just like, okay, I'm in. Look at his pecs.
The first thing I Googled as soon as I heard the news was, is Josh Gordon in shape? Just Google that, because then you'll be like, oh, okay, I'm back in.
So then I'll be spending a lot of my fab on him.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be fabbing and fapping all at once.
Seriously, this guy's made me look like a fool like 3 or 4 times. He won a league for me in 2014.
So I'll keep going back, right?
Whenever the hell it was. I don't remember what year it was. Might have been longer ago than that. Yeah,
it's 2013, 9 years ago was the last time this guy did anything useful or meaningful. And yet, for 9 straight years, we continue to chase. And I'm going to chase again because it's Mahomes and it's Josh Gordon.
It's kind of like smoking crack, right? Like you're always chasing that first high.
Right. And you know what you're getting into, and you just kind of like it anyways. It's like life's too short to not smoke crack.
No, this crack's bad for me, but it's kind of fun. All right. Anyway.
I would say this, though. The only thing, I know we're getting long on him, but I would just say I wouldn't blow a ton of money. If somebody in my Holy Cross League just blew $40 to pick him up, no. I got him for free. I picked him up and stashed him for free where I could. But otherwise, I'm not going to go blow a ton of my money because it is almost guaranteed to be fool's gold. There's like a 1% chance it hits. The thing is, if it hits, it's going to hit like astronomically. A lot of people saying too, like, oh, we did Russell Wilson last year. He had DK and Tyler Lockett ahead of him. He only has, Tyreek and Kelsey, but this is a much more higher volume pass attack. They need a wide receiver to desperately to draw attention. You see what teams are doing to Tyreek. They're like tripling him and taking him out of the game. If Gordon has anything, he's going to see single coverage, and he probably can beat single coverage of the number 3 corner in most situations. So I think there really is a situation. I'm not like saying it just.
Look at us right now. Look at us. We just spent 2 minutes talking about this guy.
We can't. He just absorbs us. He's a magnet. We can't stop it. Let's move on before I keep going.
Giovanni Bernard not practicing on Wednesday. He's got a knee issue. They say it's a slight MCL sprain. He's considered day-to-day. It's not like a huge shock that he's being held out of practice earlier in the week. We'll see what happens on Friday. We'll probably know more then. He actually was, like, for the first time, a pretty big part of the passing offense in week 3. He gets 10 targets in their loss to the Rams. I'm assuming a lot of that was game script. The Bucs are not used to necessarily being behind and having to pass, but they were, and the situation called for it, and we did see the upside of Gio.
Yeah, I think this would have been a week where you wouldn't want to use him because I don't see this being a week they're going to need to pass to a running back anyways. But ultimately, it was going to be, if he's out, this is the only really thing that matters about it is Leonard Fournette would have been seeing a ton of work. So ultimately, I'm not a big fan of Gio Bernard. It's more so, does Fournette become that much more usable? Should he sit? Gronkowski also not practicing, but he's expected to go. He's going to suit up against his old team as is Antonio Brown. He's going to be activated from the injured reserve COVID list. Both those guys, I think, have to be in lineups. Much more Gronk. I think he's going to go for the touchdown record. Antonio Brown, though, in my top 27 receivers, I think he's 26 right now. So he should be playable in most situations as well.
I'm hesitant with Brown coming off COVID. I saw with so many NBA players when they would come back from COVID and they're okay. Like there was definitely lingering stuff. So we'll see. It's complete speculation. Because I'm so decimated by injuries, I may start the guy anyway, but I don't love him this week, even though generally I love him.
I think it's a really fair point, given how Cam, not even just NBA players, plenty of NFL players just weren't the same the rest of the year after having it last year. So that's a really good point, Nat. I absolutely agree.
Will Fuller.
Julio, we can
No, we got to talk about Will Fuller. Will Fuller. Oh. And this is my favorite, reason. Like we'll see like so-and-so knee, so-and-so calf, Will Fuller, undisclosed, missed Wednesday's practice with an injury. It could be anything.
What could it be? What a mystery box. What a fun thing. Because with Will Fuller, it could be his whole body. Just a reminder of how fucking annoying Will Fuller
is. Talk
is.
About guys I'm glad I don't have any stock in.
None.
Man,
I have
no
none
interest.
in him. I had no interest. I'm so happy I don't. This one's not an injury, but just a quick note that popped up, and I had to get it on there because it turns me on, is DeAndre Swift. They plan on increasing his looks this coming week. Dan Campbell saying you're going to see him a lot more. He can easily be out there on the first play. That quote makes no sense to me. But the fact that they're going to play him more, he's done enough to earn more volume. Is he really not playing on the first play anyways? Is that really that big of an achievement? I don't know. I guess he hasn't been. But either way, if they start him and just roll him, he's already been the running back 6 or higher in 2 of his 3 weeks. No lower than running back 20, running back 3 in points per game right now. I mean, and now he's going to get more work. Love everything about. Remember now, I projected this guy for like 100 catches, and we were both like, "Wait, that's way too high." What was I thinking? Yeah. I might have been too low on him at that point. He's killing it.
It wasn't crazy. You're right.
Yeah,
it wasn't crazy. Go ahead.
Players returning from IR this week. We got Curtis Samuel, 35% rostered. Worth seeing what he does. I would definitely be sprinting out. All right, running at a light jog to go get this guy. Sprint might have been aggressive, but definitely they have nobody besides besides Terry McLaurin, a little bit of Logan Thomas, but McKissick, they're clearly not sold on this year. I think Curtis Samuel could come right in, see 8 to 10 targets on a weekly basis as a great player. And then Bateman as well, an offense that, Sammy Watkins has seen 25% of the targets in 3 straight weeks. I don't think they want that to be the case. I think they want someone else to set up because Watkins has done nothing on that high target share. I think Bateman could easily, as early as he probably won't play this week, but by week 5, become that move the chain weapon they've been missing for so long for Lamar Jackson. Really think he could have a big, meaningful impact at only 14% rostered right now. Would be really looking to get either of these guys.
I ran out and picked up Bateman for nothing. I was happy to get him. I mean, did you see Hollywood drop like 2 touchdown passes last week?
Exactly, right?
I mean, the ball hit him right in the hands.
He's running wide open and dropping the ball. So it's encouraging because the scheme is getting these receivers open. Lamar's delivering some nice balls. Hopefully Bateman can actually catch him though. That's that. They'll have a huge edge of the competition. Can he
Such a big part of being a wide receiver.
Yeah, pretty big.
All right, Giants wide receivers. Darius Slayton didn't practice Wednesday. Sterling Shepard didn't practice Wednesday. Now, I mean, obviously the Giants are a dumpster fire, but both of these guys have had their moments.
Yeah, Shepard had a monster first couple of weeks, and dating back to last year, had seen 9 or more targets in 4 straight games, had been a wide receiver, 18 or more PPR points in 4 straight games. So this hurts. And they gave up a ton of PPR points to Jacoby Myers out of the slot. If he plays, I'm going to love him this week. But I think both those guys probably rest, and Kenny Golladay ends up being a little bit more valuable. And this one, I don't know what exactly it means. I often will I'll give the credit to the Roto World blurbs. I always kind of just go there, copy the injuries, and then we talk about it from there. The most efficient way of looking at news, in my opinion. But I think this must have been a typo because they wrote Tyler Conklin, glue, elbow. Not sure what glue exactly means.
Do you think that means he was like sniffing glue?
Maybe. Yeah, he was puking up glue after sniffing far too much before practice. He's not practicing. He was actually the tight end 1 the last week. Otherwise, I would have been like, why are we talking about Conklin in the first place? He had the most points among tight ends last week. 8 targets, 7 catches, 70 yards, and a TD. Might be a streamer should he be in, but if he's coming to the glue, we probably can't put him in our lineups, unfortunately.
Right. Until we find out what that means, I'd stay away.
Yes, definitely. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.